It's Sunday morning, and every decent man and woman is listening to Test Miles with Nick Miles on FM News 101 KXL. Buckle in.
Well, happy Sunday morning. Time to talk cars for the next 60 minutes on your weekly automotive experience. I'm Nick Miles, and you're listening to the automotive radio show Test Miles, locally created, nationally celebrated. We've assembled a team of car freaks at Test Miles, and this is the part of the show when we test the team's knowledge of how much of the world of automotive they know. But first of all, let's introduce who's in the studio with you. Sean Walker, TV producer, radio producer, car and cat lover. What have you been up to this week, Mr. Walker?
I really haven't been up to much. I went and saw Lewis Black. I've been trying to find the Fast and Furious 7 trailer, which finally came out. That's about it. Yeah, boring life.
Clearly a car freak if that's your whole week trying to find the Fast and Furious 7 trailer.
It looks nice.
What cars are in it? Do you remember?
There's a lot of cool cars. I have it posted on our Facebook page, too, if people want to go check it out. I did the hard work for everyone.
Excellent. Go and find the Test Miles Facebook page. I think it's facebook.com/TestMilesLLC. You can see us right there. Also in the studio, Oli, the Viking Volvo seller. Oli, you have a beard, my friend.
I do. Yeah, maybe just temporarily. I'll probably be gone by the end of the day.
Well, when I say a beard, it looks like you haven't shaved for a week, so it's becoming a beard.
You know, that's absolutely accurate. It's been a week since I've shaved. Actually, a little over. Last Friday, I think it was.
You weren't here on last week's show.
No, I called in. We were doing I was being a part of the Portland Urban Safari, which is a bunch of guys that get together, kind of. You dress up your cars as a theme, either safari. We went since we were taking the Volvo, we dressed up as like the soccer family. I figured that made sense. And then we just drive around like a lot of unimproved roads and things like that here in Portland. It's a lot of fun.
I have an unimproved road at the end of my road, and they're actually saying now they're going to improve it. But is there a lot of unimproved roads in Portland?
I believe there is. This is my first year doing it. We were over in Southeast, kind of in the Woodstock area. I think they've done it in North Portland, Northeast. The guys that put it together spent a lot of time figuring out a route, and it's like a lot of alleyways. And it's not. There was a guy who had an Audi station wagon or a Volkswagen Passat station wagon that was an all-wheel drive, and he was able to do the course. So I think it's just more people getting together and
it's not too rough.
No,
that's what you're saying.
It's not.
What's the idea? Is it the idea that you navigate the potholes, or you go as fast as you can through the potholes and splash as much water up as you can?
I think you want to splash a little bit of water. That's kind of fun, but it's just kind of you get together, you dress up, you drive around town, and I don't know. It was fun for me. It made sense. It was really hard to explain to my wife why this is going to be a fun event. Like, no, everyone's going to get in the car, we're going to dress up, and we're going to drive around town with a bunch of other people.
So I'm looking at, so the woman's point of view, you say to your wife, hey, we're going to drive around some of the worst roads in Portland and sit in the car for 2 or 3 hours. And then from your point of view, hey, let's go off-roading with a bunch of other guys in the city.
It sounded like a waste of gas when I explained it to her, but I was pretty excited about it. It was a lot of fun.
What was the selling point for her to say, all right, we'll do it? Kid time? Was that it?
I don't know. It was a struggle to the end.
She just probably got tired of you begging, like,
yeah, maybe.
Please.
I'm like, but we can. I don't know. It'll be fun. Let's go. Come on.
Was the payoff that she wanted? Did she want to do it again next year? Did she enjoy it once it was over?
No. I don't know. The kids thought it was fun, especially at the beginning. They had the windows down. There was a bunch of guys that had some really cool Unimogs, and stuff was really decorated, like safari-wise, and it was cool because you had a lot of neighbors coming out, and they were waving, and they were trying to figure out what was going on, So, there was for me, it was a lot of fun. I think she had a lot of fun, for the first couple minutes.
Minutes.
But I think it starts to drag on for the kids and for her. And,
now, I'm wondering.
We kind of bugged out. We had, a birthday party to get kids to and everything else that happens.
I'm wondering, at what point did the neighbors' enjoyment of watching some interesting vehicles go by turn to anger because there was 200 cars racing up and down their unfinished road?
Well, I think we were about 40 cars in the end. There was only one lady who I saw, and it was hilarious. I looked over, and she kind of was just staring at everybody and shaking her head. And I was like, that's awesome. That makes it all worth it.
What, to upset the neighborhood?
Yeah, just one lady.
Just one lady. All right, good. Jenya's also here, our intern. Jenya, what have you been doing this week?
Halloween, eating candy, watching movies.
Getting a sugar high. Good thing that your dad's a doctor.
Yeah.
You probably don't have to go into a diabetic coma. What
Shot
did you
of
go?
insulin.
Yeah, shot of insulin. What did you go as for Halloween?
Emperor Palpatine from Star Wars.
How was it? Do we have pictures somewhere we can see?
No.
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 Did you have a fabulous costume?
It was held together with staples. I think you can call that fabulous.
All right. And then you went trick or treating around the neighborhood.
Yeah, up in Lake Oswego.
Where is the candy that you got?
I ate it all.
All of it?
Yeah.
Aren't you supposed to make it last a year?
Well, we were only out there for an hour. So.
Oh, yeah, clearly you couldn't have got enough for more than one night in an hour. Oli, do you let your kids eat all of their candy?
No, it's actually all on top of the fridge, and they made a ridiculous amount of haul. My oldest son went through and made
How old is he?
He's 11. He went through and made a graph and knows exactly. He had 22 different types of candy, 172 total pieces, and it's categorized in like chocolate and all the different things, how many Butterfingers, how many Snickers, and all this. It's fascinating. I think he should turn it in for extra credit.
Did he make this because prior Halloweens you ate the candy? He's like,
No.
I know what I have, Dad.
We just
Do
got
not touch
back.
it.
We got back and they laid it all out, and they all had it organized in categories, and he just decided to take it to the next level and make a graph that charted everything that he had, and I thought it was pretty fabulous.
What I would have been more impressed with is if he made a graph of the houses that had the best candy.
Oh.
So he could plan a route where he would get the most candy haul.
If you write down addresses and be like, here's our route next year to maximize this house. But, I mean, they always remember which house has the full-size bars. Everybody remembers that.
Are the wax candy no one wants?
Yeah, what is this? Are these wax teeth? I don't think they have those anymore, do they?
I haven't been
don't know.
trick-or-treating in about 40 years. So
Oh, come on. You can pull it off.
Yeah, really. I'll just put a costume on. We lost Brad today. Brad Boyer is not with us today. He had a choice of going to church or coming to the show, and
Chose wrong.
God won this week. So
He'll be back.
He'll be back next week. All right, we are going to come up on our news quiz, but we're running out of time. We're going to take a break a little early if Anna's ready in the other room. We'll take a break here on FM News 101 KXL. I'm Nick Miles, back with a news quiz in a moment.
Test Miles, like NASCAR, but with one right turn. TestMiles.com.
Wow, I'm really into the music this week.
That's
You're
nice.
welcome.
Is that you?
That was me.
Sean picked some new music. I told him I was a bit sick of the cars and the same music we've been having, so bit of a foot tap in Sunday morning. You're listening to Test Miles, FM News 101 KXL. Recent podcasts are available at testmiles.com. Just click on the upper right-hand corner on the button that says Radio Podcast. Here's a fun fact you can impress your friends with. In 1927, the first traffic light was placed in Wolverhampton, England.
And Brad was still blind, or old enough and blind where he couldn't see it.
Yes, there you go. Poor Brad. How could you say that about my friend Brad Boyer when he's not in the studio today?
Good day, Brad.
Because he chose not to be here. God wants us to talk about cars.
All right. That's why we're here. Time for the news quiz. Every week we like to test the knowledge of the crew in the studio and see how much they have been following automotive stories and see how up to date they are. So let's hope they have the answers to this week's question. Gentlemen's, ready's your buzzers. The first question is, who got fined $3.5 million for not submitting safety information on their vehicles?
Ding.
Are we doing an analog ding today?
I am. My youngest has my buzzer.
I notice there's a child in the corner of the studio.
Yeah, he has my buzzer.
Wait.
Keeping him busy.
Which child is this?
This is Wyatt.
Wyatt?
He's a mini Viking.
Hey, good morning.
Yeah, he's a mini Viking.
Mini Viking.
He's Viking in training.
Viking in training. He doesn't have a beard, though.
No, not yet.
How old is he?
5.
5.
Those
All right.
kick in at 6 when you're Vikings.
Yeah. That's when he gets his beard.
You have to plunder something first.
That's right.
Are you teaching him to plunder?
We're working on it.
All
It's,
right.
it's gradual
Did
steps.
he plunder candy this weekend?
He did.
Wyatt, did you have good candy at Halloween? Nod.
That's a nod.
The sugar high clearly has worn off. All right, what's your answer, Oli?
That was Ferrari who got fined $3.5 million, Nick. They haven't been submitting information properly to the NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. And this is part to the transportation recall enhancements. They need to report potential and actual safety issues. There was also 3 people that passed away in a Ferrari in the last 3 years, and this is information they feel that's important so they can prevent injuries and in the long run by addressing these issues.
You know, it's kind of interesting because Ferrari is part of, obviously, the Fiat Chrysler Automotive, FCA as it's now known, and I'm surprised that that Chrysler wasn't all over them to make sure that happened.
Right. I mean, 3.5 million is a lot. Obviously,
it's like a car for them.
It's actually probably the profit from about 10 cars.
GM was fined $35 million for the issue with the ignition switches. Honda had been fined $17.35 million for not submitting information. So,
do you also notice that a lot of these recalls? I mean, I noticed that 50% of the U.S. People who have recalled cars are not bringing them in. We talked about that last week. But the interesting thing is, New York State is the one state that's having criminal charges brought against these car companies. They have a very aggressive prosecutor there who's looking at all of the automotive situations that could cause some kind of state or government prosecution. And it's really thanks to New York State that these auto manufacturers are getting all these lawsuits against them.
Well, I think a lot of people aren't getting them done because it's kind of a pain in the butt, because I've been dealing with a lot of the Chevy recalls, and every time I call the dealership, they're like, the part's not in, call back in another month.
Well, this is one of the problems that Honda have been having with their airbag recalls, is the fact that they want to take care of it, but they also don't have enough parts to service these vehicles very quickly. So it actually behooves you as a car owner of one of these cars that's been recalled is to get it in early and get that taken care of, because they'll run out of parts if you don't.
Right.
All right, on with the questions. Which German performance automaker wants to start making Italian sports bikes? Zhenya.
That would be Mercedes-Benz, who has entered a long-term partnership with the Italian motorcycle company MV Agusta under the area of marketing and sales. And this is the second time a German automotive company has entered a partnership with the motorcycle company. Audi did this with Ducati when they did the VW XL1 sports concept.
Italian or sports bike company.
Yeah, and
because other car manufacturers have made bikes.
Audi actually bought, didn't they buy Ducati?
They bought Ducati like 2 years ago.
Right.
And they made their first concept in Paris.
All right, next question. Who's planning on making an extreme off-road compact CUV?
Ding!
Analog Oli.
Hello. That is Ford's working on one. They have a little EcoSport. They brought that out in Sao Paulo. I'm hoping to send that in Brazil on the show. They have 4 different versions of it. One was very Raptor-esque as far as the styling. They had 2 more they called Beauty and the Beast, with different kind of, obviously one was more luxury, one was another, and they're going to run the 1.6 EcoBoost. They had like a rescue version as well. So they had 4 different versions of this, and it's actually pretty appealing. I think it's a pretty cool looking car, and the idea to have kind of a small little off-road that gets, good gas mileage.
Let me ask a question, Sean. Is there any way in the next few minutes you could post some pictures of that on our Facebook page?
I will post a picture of it, but like when he's saying they're saying Beauty and the Beast, there is nothing beauty about that car.
I know.
That car is the ugliest thing I've ever seen.
So pre-show, you guys were actually talking a bit, and this is a bit about this new EcoSport vehicle, and it's, again, not available in the United States at this point, but both Zhenya and Sean really hated it. How do you feel about it? Have you seen pictures of it?
Yeah, I've seen pictures of it. I don't love it for purely cosmetic reasons. I like the idea of having, a small, something that has good ground clearance. If you're going to use it for what it's, intended for, then I think the idea is cool, but not as cool as like when they had the idea of like the throwback, like small Bronco that they were going to do. They did that prototype a long time ago that looked like the old Bronco redone.
And this is
I love.
This is a hot segment in the market because both Jeep have the Renegade and Chevy have the Trax coming this year. I'm going to go on the Trax launch at the beginning of December in San Diego, and we're going to go check that out and see what the new Trax is like. So this small, compact, off-road type vehicle, like the old Sidekick, the Suzuki Sidekick, is a new segment that they're reinventing, reigniting. And I think you're going to see lots of manufacturers doing that. Don't Buick have a little one? What's it called?
The Encore, yeah. But that's not really an off-road vehicle. That's more of a compact luxury.
It's a luxury Trax.
One of them, let me just tell you, they're all based on subcompact cars. They're just putting four-wheel drive systems in there. What was the name of the little Suzuki one?
Sidekick?
Samurai.
No.
The SX4.
No, yeah, SX4.
Yeah.
The SX4, they couldn't make it work. It was too heavy, had bad fuel economy.
Well, and that was also
The
being with
engines
the
on-
ugly stick as well. I mean, it was just a car with a bubble on it.
The SX4 was really
Oh,
slow.
no, not the XS4. I'm thinking of the one back in the 90s.
Are you thinking about the Samurai?
Remember the one that was, it was like a car
The Eagle.
lifted, and it was just a bubble.
The AMC Eagle?
I'll have to Google that here in a second, but it was the ugliest car.
There's a lot of ugly cars, I think, out there.
Well, this one ranks in the top 10.
All right.
One day we'll do a show about the ugliest car. All right, let's move on with the news quiz. The next question in this morning's news quiz: which off-road company is planning on making an all-electric vehicle that will compete with Tesla? Lame Sean.
Oh, it's
Your buzzer, I could hardly hear your buzzer.
because I have it turned down so my ESPN alerts don't go off all the time.
There you go. That speaks volumes about Sean right there. All right, what's the answer?
Land Rover is actually making a full-size electric off-roading vehicle. They're planning on making one that will compete with Tesla, which would drive me... I don't know how well I trust that going off-road in an electric vehicle.
They have actually had the Defender electric. They've been testing it for about 3 or 4 years. Interestingly enough, I would trust a Land Rover off-road anywhere.
No. I
Doesn't
get
matter what it's powered
the
by.
trusting the Rover off-road. There's nothing about that. It's the going out with just electricity, and if you run out, what are you going to do? Hook it up to a tree?
I don't think it's something that powers you for over 100 miles. Plus, I'm sure that you'll drain the battery very quickly once you do off-roading.
That's what I'm afraid of. I mean, it's a cool concept.
But you have to think about how far you go when you're off-road, right? Maybe 7, 10, 12 miles. You probably don't go very far.
True, but the point being is you could, and I mean, it's a cool concept. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying I'm not an electric car fan. I always have the range anxiety. So I would extremely have it going off-road.
The torque would be unbelievable. All right, let's rush through some of these questions. Who is planning on bringing a compact-sized truck to the United States? No one? Jenya.
That would be Ram with their 700 pickup truck, which is being sold in Canada and Mexico, I believe. It's basically a Fiat Strada with a Ram badge on it, and it's going to be coming to America, and I think what they're going to do is they're going to facelift it like they've done with previous Rams, and they're going to call it the Dakota.
I'm
just
looking
to
forward
bring
to
it
that.
back.
All right, last question really quickly. What vehicle hit a milestone and sold their 10th million car globally?
Ding!
Oli.
That's the Hyundai Elantra.
Exactly. Hyundai Elantra wins that round for Ola. You're listening to Test Miles and FM News 101 KXL. Coming up, we're going to be talking to Brian Socher about how to winterize your car. He'll tell us how to make sure it starts throughout this winter. I'm Nick Miles.
Favorite us, tweet us, friend us, love us, all at testmiles.com.
Sunday morning on FM News 101 KXL. This is Test Miles, Portland's automotive radio show at testmiles.com. Try and follow us on Facebook. You can go there right now. Sean has put up a picture of this brand new Ford EcoSport Raptor, which to me looks like a Ford Fiesta that's jacked up on steroids.
And beat with the ugly stick.
I don't think it's ugly. And Oli, you don't think it's ugly either, do you?
No, I don't have an issue with it. I think you have to appreciate it for what it is.
It went off-roading in the ugly forest and hit every tree going in.
Don't make me start on you, Sean, because you know I will. Here's a fun fact you can impress your friends with. The first motor racing circuit, called Brooklands, was built in Weybridge, Surrey, in England in 1907. And again, Brad was there at the very first race. Brad Boyer not in the studio today. The whole team's here, and changing climates don't just affect you. They also affect your car. In regions that don't enjoy mild winters, you wouldn't dream of heading outside without a heavy coat in the wind or the chill, and the temperatures go below freezing. You don't expect your car to function properly without some attention this winter as well. Here to advise us on how to get through the cold with less fuss is our in-house mechanical expert, Brian Socher from Certified Automotive Repair in Salem. Brian, let's talk about some things that people do to winterize their car. First question for you is, do people actually bring their cars into the shop to winterize them, or do they just look for free advice because everyone's cheap?
A little of both. Everybody always wants free advice.
So you, apart from doing your dad's car, your family cars for free, you're happy to give free advice out. But a lot of these things that we have on our list today should probably be done by a shop unless you have some sort of or mechanical expertise. One of those is engine oil for the winter. Are you going to change your oil for the winter for your vehicle, or does the oil I have in it all year round work?
It really depends on the climate you're in. If you live in a extremely cold climate, say Alaska, you probably want to use something that's a little bit different.
Better for the cold.
Right,
I mean, because I don't particularly. I mean, I'm horrible about. I've never winterized my car. I'm the sort of guy that leaves everything until the last minute. Mm-hmm. So I would never dream of finding out what kind of engine oil. But unless we're expecting a cold winter, and I think like 2 years ago we had a winter there that we were below freezing for a couple of weeks there. But normally in this climate in the Portland area, you need to check that you don't have a bad engine oil, but you wouldn't really change it for the winter, right?
Not necessarily.
Unless we're going to have a bad winter.
Yes.
All right. Let's talk about engine coolant, because I know this is a big one. And a lot of people, especially in older cars, if you haven't got coolant in your car, you can have some real problems, right?
That's right.
So what happens? Is it cheap coolant? Is it a certain winter grade of coolant? What sort of coolant are we putting in cars?
Well, the coolant that we put in cars is rated at a minus 34 degrees always. And obviously in the summertime, you can do a 50-50 mix, water and 50% coolant. But, in the wintertime, you want to keep, we usually run them full on coolant.
In the wintertime, I don't think it's ever got below 34 here. I don't think it has ever got that cold in Portland, but we have those minus 10 temperatures. So that's a good one. Now, how do you know what you have in your car? There's no way to find out unless you put it in, right?
Well, when they bring it to us, we can test for that. We have a tester that will actually test the rating that's in there. And if the coolant's been in there for a long time, I guess a rule of thumb is every year or, every 20,000 miles, it's recommended that you change out your coolant.
I know you're going to be taking hold of Project Discovery this week too, so maybe you can just send me a bill for new coolant in there and make sure test my coolant for me. Cold weather, also the battery capacity. Now, there's nothing worse. I've been in this situation where your battery goes dead. So how do you prevent that now before it gets cold?
Well, usually when you go in to get your oil changed, they should be testing your battery. And so, and that just, there's a rating on your battery for cold cranking amps, and it should meet or exceed that at all times.
And so we can have that tested when the oil's changed as well.
Yep.
A few more things on here. I don't ever put snow tires on my vehicle, but you're also 180 degrees different from me. You actually do change your tires. What's the story behind that? Do we really need to in the Northwest?
No, I mean, it's personal preference for us. We shuttle customers, so I like to have snow tires on our shuttle vehicle, just for safety. Good.
If you get those bad days, right, they really help.
Oh yeah, last winter, we did have that snowstorm that was it was a good one, and so it was nice to have those snow tires and four-wheel drive.
I told a story about your frustration with the snow last year because it was the first time in a lot of years that you missed the Portland Auto Show.
It was because we were looking forward to that
because of the snow.
Yep.
We won't have snow this year.
I hope not.
I guarantee it. And if they do, I'm shoveling it.
That was the first time in 20 years I missed the Portland Auto Show.
Oh, man. It was a very snowy day. Yeah. All right, let's get back to ways to make sure your car survives the cold weather if you're not already ready for this. Windshield treatments. I didn't know you could do this. You can actually put something on your windshield to stop it being harder to stop it freezing, or is it easier to get the frost off of the windshield?
There are some products out there for that. Obviously, you don't want to put hot water on the windshield if there's ice on there.
Right. Unless you want a new windshield.
Right. There are a couple products out there, Rain-X, Aquapel, obviously for the rain. But there is a few products out there to de-ice the windshield.
I noticed there's some comes in a spray can sometimes that you can use on the windshield. Does that work?
It does work, and it's actually really good for your door locks. Because your door locks.
That was the next thing on my list, frozen door locks. That's a big deal. There's nothing worse. And if you don't have hot water available or a hairdryer that reaches out to the driveway, you need to put something on it. So what can you do to stop them freezing?
Well, if you just keep that product in your car, it's good to have with a kit, which would bring me to my next thing is having a good emergency kit in your car, which would, blanket, flares, first aid kit,
One of the
jumper
things,
cables.
and maybe a snow shovel. We have snow shovel, and we put things like that in our car because we obviously have the Land Rover, and we get out and do that. The trouble with jumper cables, can I tell you, putting jumper cables in your car, is you end up having to help other people.
Yeah.
Which is all right until you're like 5 people in a row after. Can you help me get a jump start?
Yeah.
I always want to give them $20 and say, hey, go buy some jumper cables.
You don't have to. You don't have to help them, Nick.
I do,
That's up
though.
to you.
I'm weak. I'm weak.
AAA. Hey, I have a question. I mean, talking about like frozen locks, I mean, sometimes doors actually freeze shut. Is there a good way of stopping that?
Usually when, this is a tough one because when people wash their cars, they don't lubricate or put conditioner around the
door rims.
the door seals,
Yeah.
right? And so that on a regular basis, usually when you wash your car is a good time to do that, and that a lot of times will help prevent that, and because that's the part that freezes.
I never knew I had to lube my doors up.
It's not so much lubing it, but there's a conditioner made for the door seals.
Okay. Well, I have to remember that. So if you want to get in touch with Brian, you can actually, if you're interested in meeting Brian and going to Certified Automotive Repair, you can actually head down to Salem. They'll be more than happy to help you. 2880 22nd Southeast, 22nd Street Southeast in Salem, 97302, or at carsalem.com. Now, we were talking a little bit before you got into the studio. There seems to be a glut, an opening for mechanics in this area, and you've been looking for some really skilled mechanics to come and work for you, haven't you?
That's correct. We are currently recruiting right now for an ASC certified mechanic. Preferably somebody that's been working in a shop environment for a few years, and so
If you're interested, you could go to carsalem.com, give you guys a call.
They could give myself a call, or they could give our general manager Ben a call and come in, drop off a resume.
And so you're hiring right now. So if someone out there is an ASC certified mechanic, is that you, Oli? Are you an ASC certified mechanic?
I am not.
You can change a tire, though.
No, I can do a lot. I've worked on cars for a long time. I've always worked in kind of niche places to where I've just had a focus thing. I don't know. I think part of it for me is growing up with a dad who was a mechanic. I've just been around cars. I didn't go to any schooling. I've just done it.
If you go and get a certification, Brian might have a job for you.
That's right. That's right.
Good. There you go.
We'll see how the show's doing.
All right, when we come back on Test Miles, we're going to be talking a little bit about what we've been driving this week. Brian's going to stick around. We still have some cool cars to talk about. I've been driving the Cadillac ATS and the Kia K900. Sean, do you have anything to talk about?
The the Ram EcoDiesel.
The Ram EcoDiesel. And Oli's going to have our deal of the week. We can find out one car which is done a lot in Portland, which is a screaming good deal if you're looking for a new vehicle. You're listening to Test Miles on FM News 101 KXL. I'm Nick Miles.
Test Miles, like NASCAR, but with one right turn. TestMiles.com.
Sunday morning on FM News 101 KXL. This is Test Miles, Portland's automotive radio show at TestMiles.com. Try following us at Twitter. Test Miles is the name if you hadn't already worked that out. Here's a fun fact for you to impress your friends with. VW named most of their cars after different wind currents. Passat after a German word for trade winds, Golf after the Gulf Stream, Jetta after jet stream, and Polo after polar winds. You didn't know that, did you? All right, let's talk about what we've been driving this week. I have been driving the Kia K900. This is their four-door flagship luxury sedan. Impressive amount of standard and optional features. No premium price. It's roomy, comfortable interior and a very generous warranty. 10 years, 100,000-mile warranty. Is that right? Yes. I do believe it is right. 5-liter V8. It will get a 3.8-liter V6 coming soon. 420 horsepower, 8-speed automatic, rear-wheel drive, so a true rear-wheel drive sedan. Very, very impressed. It is a little guzzly. 18 miles a gallon combined, 15 city, 23 highway. It will get better fuel economy when the V6 comes along. Is competing with vehicles like the Audi A8, Mercedes S-Class, BMW 7 Series, and Lexus LS. I would say this is their top-of-the-line Halo car. Very impressed with the price for this, $59,500 for a car. You may pay $20,000 more. I'd say if I had the cash, this would be definitely on my shopping list. Also in the Cadillac ATS, Sean drove this a few weeks ago. Four-door luxury sports sedan, fun to drive characteristics. I do feel a little bit like the 2-liter turbo, the 2.5-liter is a bit underpowered. The V6 is necessary. 6-speed automatic, 6-speed manual, your choices. It does come in an all-wheel drive. Around 25 miles a gallon combined for the 2.5 and about 23 miles combined for the 2-liter turbo. It competes with BMW's 3 Series, Mercedes C-Class, Audi A4, and the IS. $33,215. There are some things about this, I think, that Cadillac, they need to shape their design up a bit. It was very impressive when their new Cadillac very sharp angle design came out a few years ago, but it needs a bit of a refresh now. Where do you go with the sharp angle design? Sean?
Just on another subject, I saw a Cadillac XLR yesterday, and I love that car. I wish they still had that one around.
It was a very, very good-looking vehicle.
I love that thing. I wish they kept that car around because I think with their lines today and the new badge, it would look awesome. Anyways, I was driving the 2014 Ram EcoDiesel 1500, and this is my favorite car and truck, anything. I've been driving it. I don't want to give it up, and I'm actually contemplating on buying it. I filled it up, $80 to fill up, and I got 530 miles on a single tank of fuel, which I love because I had a 2000 Dodge Dakota with a 4.6 Hemi, $80. Luckily, if I got 240 miles out of that thing. 8-speed transmission, 240 horsepower. I love everything about this truck. It can tow up to 9,200 pounds. The only thing I don't like, and I love it, but it's just, you lose room in your bed, is the Ram box. I like the Ram box because it's storage and it's a cooler, has a plug so you can put ice or anything in it, but you do lose the space in the bed because where your wheel wells are, it's just a big solid box.
I would tell you, I think the Ram box is the best idea in the truck. No. One of those things. My point about the truck I don't like is it doesn't have that many power outlets in it.
Yeah, but that's the thing is I do like the Ram box. I like the concept of it. It's just, you have to weigh the options if you really need the Ram box or you need the space in your bed.
Excellent. Well done, Sean. Oli, deal of the week?
I got a 2011. Oh, this is presented by DLR Nordic. 2011 Volvo C30. This is an R-Design model. It's well equipped. I have it at $19,000. Just priced it there. It's on our website at dlrnordic.com as well. As Sean's going to go ahead and post that up for you this week.
So again, what was it?
2011 Volvo C30 T5 R-Design. So when a car that's no longer available, but the hatchback Volvo C30.
I absolutely love the C30. It's one of my favorite vehicles out there. All right, so just a quick recap of some things we talked about on the show today. You now know how to winterize your car thanks to the guys at Certified Automotive Repair in Salem. And again, Brian, if you want to go to carsalem.com, Brian is looking for an ASC certified mechanic. If you are a mechanic, right, Brian, they can give you a call. The phone number's on the website. You or Ben can help them out. A good job lead for everybody. Yeah, also, they're willing to help you in making sure your car is winterized this winter. I don't need to be getting phone calls on the show next week to say you're stuck out in the cold somewhere because you didn't winterize your car properly. So we gave you some good tips. Also, coming up next week, we'll be talking to somebody from Mercedes-Benz about their new 4x4 Sprinter. And they have this new thing called a crosswind. I was out in South Carolina, and they set up the jet boats, the boats that go through the Everglades with the big propellers on the back. They set up 3 of them. They were 600 horsepower each, and they drove a Sprinter by it at 50 to 60 miles an hour, trying to blow it over. And this system kicks in. It's absolutely unbelievable how it stops the crosswind. Also, a 4x4 Sprinter, it means that you can live on top of a mountain, and FedEx can still get their parts delivered to you, or whatever you've ordered from Amazon delivered to you as well. So we'll be talking about that next week. Don't forget to go to Certified Automotive Repair at carsalem.com. Our website is testmiles.com. You can find out more about our show there, watch some of our TV reports, and also listen to past shows. We'll be back again next week at the same time. Thanks to the whole crew, and put your pedal to the metal, and have a great week.
Throw it in neutral and coast in with TestMiles.com.